Okay, private schools, private institutions are emerging top, and they're emerging from the ashes after 2 national tests in which the public schools were, of course, emerging top. And now, since this is from 2018, this year, according to the return of the 400s, which is the headline on the Daily Nation, it looks like the number of candidates who are scoring above 400 marks has doubled, are almost doubled compared to 2021, and most of those are have been scooped by private schools or by private students in private schools. Only 3 of the top 14 students came from public institutions as academies dominate. And of course, this is coming in light of that story which we read earlier, in which the caretaker of the education sector in the country is admitting that there is that disparity between the number of teachers and the number of students. How exactly can we remedy that situation, especially in the public institutions, which are now backsliding, according to this kind of report, which is there in the Daily Nation and the Star. So, Honorable Silas Otuke is joining me to begin the conversation. Na tutaanzia hapo, but before we get much more into that, I'd welcome him to the show and have him introduce himself, of course, to us, and then we can kickstart the rest of this conversation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Right.
First of all, I would like to thank you, KUTV, for giving me this opportunity to join you in the newspaper review segment. My name's Silas Otuke. I'm an aspirant for Member of Parliament, Embakasi South constituency.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, Embakasi South constituency. Is this
Yes.
your maiden time vying for that seat?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
It's my first time,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm a resident of Embakasi South for the last 21 years.
Right.
Yes.
We'll be getting into much more of that. So what to Embakasi South, get there in the comment sections. Any questions that you might have for Honorable Silas Otuke, we'll be taking them na tumpatie pale aweze kuyajibu maswali hayo. So beginning here top of it, as of course I'm saying here, the return of the 400s top performers nationally is a list that is there, spread across the Daily Nation, and many others issues. As I highlighted, of course, there's that disparity in terms of the results we are seeing from the public schools and the private schools.
Yes.
I could say maybe this period that we had a COVID-19 pandemic, the students in the private schools had an edge in terms of access to learning material, access to teachers. Would that be the core reason that we are seeing these results, you would say, or are there any other?
I think if you look at the results, the way they are, you'll basically see that academies and international schools have performed very well as compared to public schools. And the reason is quite simple. Most of these academies and international schools have very good facilities, and the students who go to those schools basically have access to every material that they need. They have access to good facilities. But on the other hand, the primary schools that are basically public lack a lot of facilities. As I campaign in Embakasi South, I basically see the status of my public schools.
And we're going to see that even during the election period, which most of these schools are polling stations.
Yes. So government has to do a lot in terms of improving the facilities that are in public schools, in terms of getting more teachers to these public schools, because you'll find a public school with maybe 300, 400 candidates, but you'll find that they have very few teachers at their disposal.
Right.
And I think government must pull up its socks by recruiting more teachers. And if we don't have the resources, then we should recruit more of intern teachers to basically help those schools. But the teachers alone will not be able to sort out this mess. We also have to pump in more resources to improve the facilities that we have in public schools. Yes.
Right. On page 6 of the Daily Nation as well, seeing that 320 pupils were caught cheating and they are going to know their fate soon. Of course, the issue of examinations leaking, students cheating in examinations from primary school to KCSE as well, has been there for quite some time. I know maybe the kind of pressure that is put on these students might be facilitating that, and of course many other issues. Will we ever get to a situation where we no longer have to discuss matters of examinations leaking and malpractices in general?
I basically believe that the reason why we have this problem, even in schools, is because corruption in Kenya has become a norm, you know, and whatever the adults do, our kids can also do it. Mm-hmm. So for us to be able to sort out this mess, then we also need to sort out the corruption mess in this country.
Right.
Yes. If we glorify corruption, then even the kids also try to pick up that mannerism.
Are they looking at their leaders, or are they also looking at their parents? Maybe their parents are also corrupt in one way or another.
The nearest leader is a parent.
Yeah.
So these kids have a look at what their parents are doing, and they also look at what the leaders are doing. Mm-hmm. Yes, because we live now in a digital world. Mm-hmm. So whatever is done and broadcasted, the kid will also see. Mm-hmm. So most of them will grow knowing that you can cheat your way, and it doesn't matter whatever you do. Mm-hmm. What you need are the results. Mm-hmm. Yes. Right. So these will only change if we also change our mannerisms in terms of what we do as leaders. Right. Yes.
Honorable, I don't know how long ago you sat for your KCP. Was there KCP when you...
yes, it was KCP. That was 1997.
Right.
Yes.
Was there issues of examination leakage still back then in the 90s? I know there was no technology such as now, but was it happening?
It's been there all through. It's been there.
All right.
Yes.
Has there been a change? Has there been a change in terms of the quality of education? I know we have now the new CBC.
Yes.
And this, of course, has been touted as a new way in which we are going to improve the kind of education that is being offered to students across the country. Yes. Do you feel it's better? And is there going to be a change in quality?
Yeah, when I look at the CBC, I think it's a better education system than the previous, the 844. Right. Because 844 had put in a lot of emphasis on passing exams. Yes. But if you look at the CBC, we are basically looking at more of talent promotion, supporting students to basically become better in their areas of interest from an early age. So I think if it is handled well, it will move Kenya to greater heights. Right. Yes.
Personally, I feel like that should be the direction we're heading, so that I don't know about you, but I don't think I like seeing the results being displayed like this in newspapers, where we're just looking at merit in terms of what they scored. Yes. So we have here a ranking, and I remember some time back the ministry did scrap the ranking of students, or announcing the top 10 students, or in terms of marks. Maybe we should get a point where we're having maybe students who also performed well in rugby, or in arts, or in painting, or highlighting the different aspects instead of just putting results and plastering them in front of the dailies.
That one is basically the responsibility of the media. They should now start changing, because we've also changed from the former system to the new system. So I think also the media now also needs now to work with the government. Right. Yes.
So it's a call out to us.
Yes.
Right, definitely. So my fellow practitioners in the media, ensure tumeacha hii mambo ya ku focus sana on results. So let's get also and highlight a few students who performed well in the arts and other fields that are there, especially with the new CBC system. Of course, that is what is happening in matters of KCP. So if you have any congratulatory messages you want to pass out to your former primary school, or any other piece of advice you want to give out to these pupils who are looking forward to the next phase of their life, do tell us on KUTV Kenya's social media platforms. Mheshimiwa,
yes.
BBI, which way?
I'm a legal scholar.
Yeah.
And when I look at the BBI, I know that everybody has different expectations, depending on the political side
that you're leaning
on. I know that in Azimio, we expect to have the BBI back. We want reggae back. On the other side, I know that Kenya Kwanza would want to see the status quo, what the appeal court said to be maintained. So it is all wait and see.
Right.
Yes.
It's all wait and see.
Yes.
There are very contentious issues, many, of course,
Yes.
that are being raised here on the BBI.
Yes.
And, Kenyans have their views, politicians have their views,
Yes.
and we're also waiting for the court to give us their view.
Yes.
What do you expect is going to come out of the ruling? Best case scenario, and maybe probably a worst case scenario if there is any.
Best case scenario, we get reggae back, the BBI back.
Right.
Worst case scenario, the status quo, the appeals ruling is maintained, and life goes on.
Right.
And Kenyans probably after elections can go back to another BBI. Yes.
Right.
So it's all, we are all looking at Chief Justice Martha Koome's bench to give us now the final determination on this matter. Yes.
Lawyers on the other side, as you said, the ones who want the status quo to stop, put pause to the reggae, are saying that there's no hurry in implementation of these recommendations there in the BBI. And according to a quote here from Mr. Nelson Harvey, Nasema, what is the hurry? Where are we going to, as the Supreme Court sits once after every 5 years? However, I know there's so many other things that we can highlight. Of course, time management, issues of elections being there, the BBI happening currently, and those other points that are in there. But the one that caught my eye is what is there here on the page 12 of the Daily Nation, which is there is going to be, according to one of the recommendations in the BBI, there's going to be 70 more member of parliaments, or 70 additional constituencies, according to that recommendation. Of course, this might help in the redistribution of resources. But how are we looking like in terms of budget expenditure, taking care of 70 additional member of parliament, taking care of 70 additional MPs, when we already are trying our best and squeezing the last coin in the budget, which we are also going to take a look at to, cater for the many needs. What would be your take specifically on that, you being, of course, an aspirant for the parliamentary seat?
For my good friend, Mr. Nelson Harvey, I think the hurry is on the side of the politicians. BBI, basically, most of the answers that come out of the BBI are political answers. And these are some of the things that politicians are looking to have in order to have a lot of them accommodated in the leadership structure. But on the other hand, I have to admit that if BBI goes through and we start implementing it, then automatically we are going to have another increase in our wage bill. So it is something that I believe that the court will be able to make proper considerations and also look at the public interest before making their final submissions. So it is something that we have to consider the merits and the demerits.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
But automatically, as a politician, once you have more seats, you feel more secure because you'll be able to accommodate more people. Then you'll be able to control the power.
Right.
And Kenyans need to understand that politicians are basically trying to control the resources. Right. It's all about the fight of resources. So on my end, I believe that the bench, Chief Justice Martha Koome and the other judges will basically consider the public interest, and they have also to look at the current economic situation that the country is in. So I believe that whatever comes out of the Supreme Court would have considered those factors.
Right.
They don't need to look at the politics alone. Yes.
All
because where we've reached now, in Kenya, we don't really need to play politics. We need leadership.
Right.
We need to give guidance to the nation. Yes.
We've gotten there as a nation. I think it's time. It's time that we get to have those conversations. We are quite a developed developing nation, if I may put it like that. You're a scholar of the law, as you mentioned earlier on, and I'm hoping that later we can have you after this ruling, of course, to dive much more into how it turns out. But one of those issues that have been put here, I'm seeing here the make or break of the BBI. There are two that I would like us to just touch on before we move on quickly. One is the basic structure of the doctrine, that is the BBI, and whether it applies or is in tandem with the Constitution of 2010 of Kenya. And of course, the other one is relating to whether President Uhuru's involvement in this BBI process is legal or is something that is constitutional in pushing this kind of recommendation. What does the law say, or what is your take according to?
I don't want to preempt what the Supreme Court will say, because those are our final bosses when it comes to the judiciary. And in terms of those two basic issues, I think those are the main key issues that lawyers are also waiting to see what the Supreme Court will say. So I don't want to give my opinion at this particular time, because these are our seniors, and we have to wait and see how they what determination they will give. So I think once they've given the judgment, then now I'll be very much willing to sit here and then look at their decisions, whether they were basically decisions that are relating to what we have in the Constitution, or they are political decisions. You know, courts can also give you a political answer to a question. Yes. Okay.
Moving on, here on page 14, if you're having the papers with you as well, please do follow through na uko unaangalia and giving us also your feedback. On page 14 of the Daily Nation, which is a very interesting story that I think I also saw in the Business Daily.
Yes.
Yeah, so that millions, 450 million worth of assets which have been seized, cash, which was seized from former Kenya Power boss Samuel Gishuru. And I know a lot of texts are going to come out of this, where they should have waited, of course, for action to be taken or to be shown to be legal in the Jersey court, or they should just allow the money to come back in the benefit of the citizen of Kenya. And as we saw, this money is going to be used to take care of very critical health issues in terms of COVID-19 equipment, oxygen, and all of that, delivering this equipment to half a dozen hospitals in 2 months. That is a goal of the Ministry of Health with this amount of money. Honorable, I would like to ask here now, is this the best way that we should treat? Because I personally do feel like this could be a good direction.
Yes.
When we get someone with assets, or someone who's been involved in corruption, embezzlement, cases of fraud, we retrieve those and give them back to Mwananchi.
To me, I think this is one of the ways that some of us have been advocating for. When this issue came out, I did a petition at that time to the UK embassy, where I basically said, because at that particular time, New Jersey wanted these two fellows to be extradited back to Jersey to face the courts in Jersey. But as a legal scholar and as someone who understands what goes on in the international world, I knew that if we have these two fellows extradited back to Jersey to face charges in Jersey, then automatically, if what we are being told was stashed in that country, the Kenyan government would not have received that same amount. Because what happens is that if you take somebody to Jersey to face legal action in Jersey, by the end of that particular suit, the Jersey government will also give you a fee note. To indicate that, we've spent this much to handle this matter. So if you are claiming 1 billion out of this money, they'll maybe give you the 700 million. So my argument then was that if this is our money as Kenyans,
let that happen
then
here.
Bring the money here, let the Kenyan government take action on these two fellows. So I had seen that this money was to be returned, I think in 2018, 2019. I saw it in the papers. But I think that the money has just arrived now. Because I think in 2018 or 2019, therefore, there was a story that we had received this money, and the government was going to buy ambulances and other things from that money. But I'm seeing that story now.
This is something that happened from way back, yeah?
Yes. Okay. I saw this story some few years ago.
Okay.
And I knew that we had already received the money. But I'm seeing it here now.
It's just arriving.
So I don't know whether the money is coming in 2 tranches, because I saw it back then.
And you're seeing
and
it
I'm
now.
seeing it now.
Right.
I don't know whether it is a political story. I don't know. But I think this is the best way forward. And for any money that is touched out there, we don't need to disturb our jurisdiction by extraditing these people the other side. Let's first of all receive the money here, and then let's take action.
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
because this money belongs to Kenyans. It doesn't belong to the other fellows out there.
Definitely.
Yes.
So we need to have that money back. And
Yes.
I was thinking, should we also do it for local issues? If a politician or someone who's in charge of a docket that is serving the public
Yes.
is found in this kind of cases, they should bring back these assets to be used for the public, to be diverted elsewhere.
I don't know what the asset recovery is doing, but I believe that when we are told that we have maybe KEMSA billionaires and they are here, they are roaming around, the
Right.
first thing that we should do is first of all to freeze the assets, freeze the money,
Definitely.
and then have discussions.
Let's discuss later.
Yes, later. But I believe that this is happening. I know the Asset Recovery Agency has been on some few Kenyans, but we need it on for it to be done on a large scale. Let it not be done on small thieves. Yes, because I know what is going on. If you're a small thief, you've stolen maybe some few millions. They will freeze your account. But if you're a big thief
with big
billions, then they go slow. So yes,
Right.
so I believe this is a good approach, and it should also apply to the local scenario. Yes.
All right. Here on the financial standard,
Yes.
hits and misses of Uhuru's 23 trillion budget legacy. One of the things that have been highlighted here is those mega projects which are in the area of infrastructure, mainly in the spending. So they are also displaying here, a list of the other projects. Mostly there's also the oil terminal, the Lamu port, the bypasses, of course, the SGR. And we can't forget Outer Ring Road was not there before. That's also been highlighted there. And the Kenol Sagana Marua 14 billion road that is also being constructed there. So by the end of June next year, the 23 trillion budgetary outlay, which was under President Uhuru Kenyatta's 10-year rule, will have been spent. And that is, of course, in light of the fact that on April 7th, the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary is expected to read the 3.31 trillion budget for the upcoming 2022-2023 financial year. 3.3 trillion per year. And according to a report from the Business Daily last week, we are looking at spending let me get that correct, to spend 1.36 trillion annually in the year starting this July for debt repayment. So 1.6, 3.3 trillion in terms of budget, so almost half of it going towards debt repayment.
Yes.
This is in a situation where we're trying also to recover from a lot of things, the high cost of fuel, high cost of living, COVID-19 pandemic, loss of livelihoods.
Yes.
Will the successor of Uhuru Kenyatta be able to turn around this situation? Will the next government, which you're hoping to be part of, be able to enact laws or to find a way that you can get ourselves out of this debt situation, out of this situation of famine, high cost of living, and all of the issues that are facing are shattering the economy as of the moment?
I believe so. I believe that the next government will be able to handle this. And one thing I would like Kenyans to understand is that you can't build a nation without taking loans. Even in business, people use loans to do business, to make money. So the only challenge comes in when you're taking loans and then using a huge chunk of it on a recurrent budget, like paying wages, doing printing, traveling, hospitality, advertising. That is where the challenge comes in. Because if you look at how the money was spent, then you see 14.5 trillion was spent on recurrent budget. Only 5.5 trillion was spent on development. For the development aspect, I think Kenya, we needed some of these huge infrastructure developments that are coming up as a nation for us to be able to move. Because development comes with movement of people, movement of goods. So we needed this, and I think Uhuru was not wrong to have invested more money on having this mega infrastructure. But going forward, the new government must now balance between the infrastructure development and the welfare of the people.
Right, definitely.
Yes,
Because
yes.
also I was seeing here on the Daily Nation
Yes.
that, a complaint or an editorial, an opinion piece.
Yes.
Let me try and get that. Yes, by one Joseph Muthama, who is a business and management lecturer at JKUAT, saying, vote with your stomach.
Yes.
And this is, of course, coming from another issue from the National Treasury, which diverted the
Yes.
5.7 billion supplementary budget, which was meant to cushion farmers.
Yes.
So we have a situation where farmers are not cushioned against the market effects that are currently happening.
Yes.
Fuel prices will also, food insecurity issues.
Yes.
But we're also having mega infrastructure going around. So that
Yes.
kind of balance is something that we need. Is it possible?
Yes, it is. It is very possible, because now we've done. Uhuru has done mega infrastructure projects.
So we can close a
Yes.
lead on
So
that.
for now, we can basically try to balance the budgetary provisions that we have with ensuring that those key sectors that basically support the masses, we put in more money there. Let's put in money in agriculture, because we need food. Without food, then you'll have a lot of problems.
Right.
And I believe that where we're headed to, if the leadership of this nation does not keenly take interest into the suffering of the people, then we might have the people going to the streets, in future, because an hungry nation is a very dangerous nation.
That's
so as we move forward, I believe that whoever comes in, if it is Raila Odinga, if it is William Ruto, then they have to be very, very cognizant to the fact that Kenyans are suffering. The cost of living has gone very high.
Yeah.
Food prices are shooting up. The cost of fuel is unmanageable to so many people. So as we move into the August elections, our leaders must understand that now we need to stop putting a lot of priorities on infrastructure and improve the living standards of the people first,
Right.
by making life more cheaper.
Right.
Yes.
One last issue as
Yes.
we finish up on those hits and misses of
Yes.
Uhuru's eye-watering budget spending legacy
Yes.
is, as I said, debt.
Yes.
Debt is an issue. We've spoken about recurrent expenditure, spending on infrastructure, and also development issues. But there's debt, which is a very big issue. Kenya's
Yes.
debt repayment for the first time is exceeding the national government's recurrent spending.
Yes.
And as of that, it means if we break it down, as I said, 1.36 trillion
Yes.
annually for debt repayment means for every 100 Kenyan shillings,
Yes.
65 bob is being used towards debt repayment,
Yes.
which means only 35 bob is left for recurrent expenditure and also development. Are there ways we can pay this debt and not affect the amount of budget that is allocated in running the country and developing the country?
Whoever comes in as the next president must put priority in restructuring the debt that Kenya has. So it means we have to go back to the drawing, to the table, and engage whoever we owe money.
Right.
And agree on new terms of repayment. We are not saying that we stop paying, but we are saying that, hey, look here, we took the debt, and we are not able to pay you the 65 shillings out of 100.
Right.
So can we agree on how to restructure? Kenya might incur more interest on the restructured payment system, but in the long run, for the government to be able to service wananchi, then we have to do a lot of debt restructuring with whoever we owe the money.
Right.
Yes. So
Right.
that must be a key priority to the next president of this republic. If it is Azimio, that is something that they have to do. If it is Kenya Kwanza, that is something that they have to do.
All right.
Because if they don't do it, then we are going to have a dangerous scenario where we are going to have, we might even have a revolution. Nobody
Right.
believed that we could have a revolution in Sudan.
And it happened.
And it happened. So, and all these things happen when Mwananchi is hungry.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have to go back and do a lot of restructuring, do a lot of negotiations with our lenders, and also look at means and ways of basically getting in more grants into the economy.
All right.
Yes.
So he's saying make sure that for the next government, wale ambao wataingia, including hopefully himself, that there's the balancing of how much is being spent on development projects and also taking care of mwananchi's issues. And thirdly, for that debt issue, debt restructuring, of course, with all where the various places where we get our loans from. So I think because of time, we'll close the newspaper review there. So if you are online and you're watching and or at home as well watching, the SMS/WhatsApp numbers are somewhere there. Give us your feedback on some of those issues we've taken a look at, and we'll continue to take a look at that during the show, especially the business daily, because I know I've not had time to look at it. I'll be going through it as we continue with the show, because this is Biashara Tuesday. But as Mheshimiwa amesema, ensure that you are voting while thinking of what kind of balancing they're going to do with your needs versus also development. Na hapa kwa Daily Nation walisema vote with your stomach. So that is a very good opinion piece that you should be reading. Now let's speak to the stomachs of the people of Embakasi South.
Yes.
for a while. You're the MP aspirant
yes.
in Embakasi South Pale.
Yes.
What is the difference that the residents of Embakasi South are going to feel once you ascend to this seat, and not whatever else everyone else is promising, good roads, good healthcare and all of that. Watu wasikia, as you said, wanataka kusikia hapa.
Yes.
Wakienda kupiga kura wanasema huyu ana take care of maslahi ya tumbo yangu kabisa. So watu wa Embakasi South, listen in, and any questions that you might have, please do shoot them to us.
For watu wa Embakasi South, what I'm bringing to the people of Embakasi South this time round is an accountable and people-centered leadership. I am going to be very much available to the people of Embakasi South. Whatever decisions that I would be needed to make as a member of parliament will be people-centered. I will look at the interests and the needs of the people of Embakasi South first before I make any decision. Whatever policies, whatever submissions that need to be made in parliament will be for the interest of the people of Embakasi South and for the Kenyan population at large. And Embakasi South is one of the constituencies that is very wealthy. It's a wealthy constituency because there are so many factories there. There are so many companies that are based in Embakasi South, but it is a constituency with some of the poorest infrastructure network. Mm-hmm. There are no good roads, feeder roads. There is a very poor sewage system. The drainage is very poor. If you go to Embakasi South, you might think that you are in some of the streets. You might think that you're in Dandora. You are the dump site. The streets themselves are the dump site, And this is one of the constituencies that give a lot of taxes to KRA, to the government of Kenya. So what I want to do is to come in and ensure that we change the infrastructure in that constituency. And because I have the facts, I have the figures, what comes out of that constituency, I will be able to negotiate with government and tell them to give back something back to the constituency.
Right.
So that if they're collecting 1 billion shillings, I want to tell them, kindly give me 1 billion from the 100 billion you've collected from Embakasi South to fix my drainage. Year one. Year two, give me another 1 billion to fix my roads. Year three, give me another 1 billion to fix the garbage menace in the constituency.
Right.
Year 4 and year 5, give me 2-3 billion basically to do the social halls, to do the public schools in that constituency. So I'm not just coming in because of the CDF that is available. I am coming in because I have researched and I know what that constituency contributes to the food, to the national basket.
Right.
So I am coming in to say it is very illegal and it is very improper for you to collect this much from my constituency and then leave my constituency to look the way it is.
Right.
Another aspect that I'm looking at is basically to empower the young people. My constituency is infested with a lot of young people who have Form 4 graduates. Some of them are class 8 leavers, but with a lot of technical skills. Most of them can do a lot of good carpentry. Some of them can do for you very good windows. Some of them have a lot of technical skills, you know, but they do not have opportunities. So what I am saying is that when I become the MP of that constituency, I want to have a database of my young people in that constituency, and I will start with the companies and factories that are in my constituency. I want them to give priority to the people who live in Embakasi South first. You know, I don't understand why a company that is in Embakasi South constituency
will have to look for labor elsewhere.
Yes, is employing somebody from Muranga, you know, to do carpentry work, when we have a lot of them in my constituency. So I want to start with the companies that are there, you know, so that we start employing the people who are there. Secondly, out of the CDF budget, there is always a percentage that goes into projects. I want to localize those projects to companies that are owned by the youth, by the women in that constituency. So if I have 70 million for projects, maybe building classes, doing Cabro paved roads, those particular projects, I will ensure that the first people to do them are the people who live in Embakasi South constituency. In terms of jobs, I am privy to a lot of countries in the Middle East, Dubai, Qatar, Kuwait, that require a lot of manpower, you know, unskilled manpower. So I will ensure that I give priority to the people of Embakasi South by getting them jobs outside the country, because now we live in a global village, and I'm very sure that the workforce that we have in Kenya supersedes the demand. So we will start with whoever is available, the factories that need manpower. The people who remain, we will ensure that we get them jobs elsewhere, outside the country, within the East African region, and in the diaspora. So I have a lot of things that I want to do for the people of Embakasi South, and I intend to have Embakasi South become a model constituency come 2027.
All right.
Yes.
That is Honorable Silas, of course, Honorable Silas Otuke, aspiring Member of Parliament in Embakasi South. Umesikia ile mambo amewalea, and those are just some of those things, because of course definitely we can't go through all of what he has in his manifesto, but mtafute, if you're watu wa Embakasi South, you can tell them where to maybe meet and greet. I don't know if that's possible, where they can come and talk to you about what they think they should get into the future, on the ground or elsewhere that you feel it is easily accessible for the people of Embakasi South as we close this section.
I am very accessible. I have 2 offices in that constituency, one at AA Kenya, just directly opposite AA Kenya. My office is on the same floor with Nairobi Technical College. I also have another office at Kwaruben Ward. So whoever wants to meet me, they can always get me in those 2 offices. But I've also given out a lot of my business cards to the population, and we keep on giving them out. I think if you move in 2-3 houses in Embakasi South constituency, you'll be able to get 1 or 2 people who have my contact. So I'm very much available. I have offices there. You call me, I'm always available. And I think the people of Embakasi South already know some of the things that I'm doing for them now, before I am the MP. And I think they should expect more when I become the MP.
All right. That is it. Thank you very much for having this session with me, and all the best in your aspirations. Tupatane pale ukiwa parliament. I will, nitaambia Honorable Silas ndo ameniita huko.
Before hapo tuongee BBI after judgment imetoka.
Lazima, muhimu sana.
Thank you.
You see, he promised he's going to come back. So ensure you're tuning into the next editions of Biashara Tuesday. We are still on air, continuing with the show. Mambo ya biashara coming up. Tunaendelea kuongea much more in entrepreneurship. Of course, I'm having that conversation here on set, and also education for all, teach for Kenya. To make sure that we are bridging that gap in inequality in terms of education in Kenya. How is that happening? Tune in. Nipatie feedback on social media at KUTV Kenya, at Richard_Kenya, the hashtag Biashara Tuesday. SMS hapa hivi na WhatsApp also. Tumeni. Nitasoma when I'm back. Don't go too far.